Today we are going to start Unit 5, 6 and 7. Unit names are Internal Control Concepts and Information Technology. Broadly we are going to discuss today what is internal control, how it is useful for an external auditor so he can have a test of internal control. If the internal controls are effective, so it will be an ease for the external auditor. Today we are going to discuss the sales cycles, which will start from quotation, sale order confirmation, then delivery notes, then the invoices. Opposite to this, we have to discuss today the purchase cycles as well, then payroll cycles. So this discussion is quite practical in terms of operational activity, which will be surely very useful for us today. Now, we'll start our discussion from introduction of internal control. Then we will discuss what are the control components. Then once we know what is the components, we will start understanding internal controls. In CPA examination, flow charting is very important. Even for the high level managerial reporting, it's very effective if you use the flow charts. And for our operational efficiency, we should have flow charts for accounts payable, receivables, then sales cycle, purchase cycle, cash management. That helps to the systems to work more efficiently. What are the flow chartings? What options we have? What we have to learn inside? This is we will discuss. Internal control and information technology. Previously, when information technology was not that advanced, so we have to see the manual controls, then we have to make several copies of one single documents. But with the help of information technology, now we are at that space, at that position, where system is helping us for controlling, for having the audit trails, then automatic movement to the next step. And with the help of ERP systems, now the auditing techniques has become more sophisticated. But as in theoretical perspective, we will see the manual and then we will see the latest information technology enhancement and feel the difference of both. Let's start our discussion. In Unit 1, we discussed 10 standards and for attestations and 11 standard for the gas. So we are extending day by day our discussion. Today we have to study second standard of the field work, which is by gas. The auditor must obtain a sufficient understanding of the entity and its environment, because he has to base his decision, and his decision is vital for the organization. So without understanding the entity, it's nearly impossible to give some opinion. Domestically, I don't know. If I don't know you, I cannot comment about you. So the first step is to knowing you. Same way with the auditor, he has to understand the entity, its operations, its business flow, and the people, mentality, management philosophy, internal control system. Then he will be able to express some opinion, including in internal control, to assess the risk of material misstatement of the financial statement, whether due to error or fraud, and to design the nature, timing, and extent of the further audit procedures. So this is very much important. What is internal control? It's a process. When we say process, it has continuity and certain stages. So affected by those charged with governance, management and other personnels. Designed to provide reasonable assurance. This we have already discussed, that audit does not give absolute assurance, it's only give reasonable assurance. Regarding the achievement of objective related to the followings: reliability of the financial reporting, efficiency and effectiveness of operations, which will come from test of control, and then compliance with applicable laws and regulations. It may be a company law, it may be in accordance with the US GAAP. So whatever compliance part, it will be addressed. Control part should also be addressed. And the reliability of the financial statement is an endorsement which the external user is looking for. Now there is a very famous COSO, that is Committee of Sponsoring Organization. This is we discuss in BEC for the corporate finance. This is the broad guidelines for the internal control frameworks. Consist of the following 5 interrelated components. And for your exam purpose, you can use the numerics as CRIME, C-R-I-M-E. C stands for control, R stands for risk, I stands for information, M stands for monitoring, and E is for the environment. So, when we are talking about internal control, we have to build up the control activity, which are the policies and procedures. The starting point is, obviously, for any control activity will be started from a charter or a manual that is approved. Based on that, we will make the policies and procedures. Every internal control should have elements of risk assessment. It should be preventive and it should be detective. Then information and communication systems, how the communication between the departments, employee, personnel, procedures will go on. Monitoring is a process that assesses the quality. Once you define the rules, so day to day you have to monitor that things are in aligned. And control environment set the tone of an organization, influencing the control consciousness of the people. What are the limitations? Obviously, every internal control is going to give you reasonable assurance, not the absolute assurance. So every system has limitations. Even audit itself has limitations, and audit risk is associated with us. Same way, there are inherent limitations for the internal controls. The first is human judgment, that the auditor is unable to find the right things by using the test of controls, and it may be a collusion of manual or automated controls, and most of the time management override the policies by themselves. So that's why the internal control starts with the management itself. If management is disciplined, then the message will transfer to the middle management and to the lower management. It's like if your father don't smoke, then the message will translate it to the kids as well. But if you smoke, if the father smokes, he cannot translate this message to the kids that smoking is bad for the health. Same way, if the management don't adhere himself to the management policies, they cannot expect that the lower and middle management will listen to their policies. Now let's discuss the control environment. Environment, as we understand, is the atmosphere that is developed based on certain norms and values. So management create control environment. To understand the control environment, the auditor considered programs and control addressing fraud risk that has been implemented by the management. So he will check the following. One is integrity and ethical values. What is the level of integrity and ethics? Then commitment to competence. How much management is committed to competence. Participation of those charged with governance, that is board of director and audit committee generally. And management philosophy and operating style will develop the control environment. As we discussed before so many times, that if the owner himself is well dressed, so the middle management, lower management will automatically take an impact of this one, and it will reflect from his policies, procedure, and the whole organization will become like that. He is customer friendly, everyone is customer friendly. But if he is opposite, this tone will translate to the middle and lower management. So the management style and philosophy is very important for the control environment. Organizational structure again is a very important point. If your organizational structure is small, then control environment is different. Owner is at the top and he is directly supervising the operations. But if your organizational structure is flat, is big, then you have to decentralize, giving powers to the managers so they can contribute, and delayering and delegation, empowerment, it will help you for the control environment. Then assignment and responsibilities is the part of empowerment. Human resource and policies are very important in building the control environment. Now let's discuss the risk assessment. We are discussing the 5 components, crime. So we just completed the first one. Now it's R, that is for risk assessment. Relevant risks include events and circumstances that may adversely affect an entity's ability to initiate, authorize, record, process, and report financial data. Following factors are important. One is changing in operating environment, the environment in that you operate. Then new personas. They have different tone or focus on the control issues. When you join a new company, you have your own background, your perspective, which may be different from the company that you joined. Then new and revamped information systems. Rapid growth will be another issue for the risk, because as you are growing, risk is also growing. Risk of the default, risk of control, risk that employees will have less supervision, because expansion will let you force to give the authorities to the managers. New technology is another factor, new business models, new products, corporate restructuring, these are all you have to see, in fact, the risk assessments. Expanding foreign operation, expansion of foreign market may result in change in risk. For example, the currency risk will come, so you have to go for currency hedging, checking and everything. New accounting pronouncements will also create the risk, because consistency principle of accounting, we have to evaluate the adequacy and measurements. Control activity, for control you have to see the performance reviews, you have to see how the information is processed, what are the physical controls. As we discussed for computers, we need physical controls, and the access for cash, physical controls, we have to keep it separate, lock it somewhere where people are not moving around. And segregation of duty is the backbone of the control system. Let's take an example. If you have one guy who is your driver, who is your chef, he is cleaning the house, he goes to the school to bring your kids. So once you will ask that, have you prepared the lunch, he will say, I went out to bring the kids. So how can I do? You know, so efficiency is a question if you have not defined the right role and right work for the candidates. Same way, when you come in the companies, if you have one guy who sells the item, who records the cash, then he deposits into bank, and then he prepares the reconciliation. So there is a swear threat to the system that one guy, when he has everything in his hand, he can play around. He sells something, he don't record. No one is there to check. He received cash, he did not enter. Who is going to check? Then he deposits less money in the bank. Who is going to check? Because he is to record it. So segregation of the duties is very important. We should have one guy who is a invoicing guy. One guy is the cash receiving guy. Other is depositing guy. The other guy is making reconciliation. So different people doing the different work will create an integrated system which will be considered more trusted. That's why we focus on the segregation of duty. But it might have a question that some companies cannot afford for a simple function 3-4 guys. So what they should do? For that case, we have another option that is called compensating controls. In that case, if your manpower is less, your budget does not allow you to for sophisticated segregation of duties, you have to apply compensating controls. What is that? That is more strict supervision. First thing. The second is the owner direct involvement. If it is a small setup, surely owner is sitting on the top and he is directly dealing with the operations. And he can increase more supervision. That will be a replacement for the sophisticated segregation of duties. But this is the core part of the internal control system, segregation of duties. Now let's discuss I from the crime word, that is information system and communication. Initiations may be automatic through program and method. Authorization is required on certain levels. Suppose if you are going to purchase something, so $5,000 you can purchase. $10,000 you need a manager. $20,000 you need general manager to be involved. And for $50,000 above, you have to take the approval from the management. This is the authorization levels. Recording includes identification, processing in the system or manual should be very complete. Reporting of financial is another part of that communication system. Because every communication system has inputs, that is entry, then processing, then output. This output will be the reports. And then preservation of these outputs in terms of backups, data, online or offshore, onshore, these are the things. Let's discuss the monitoring. It's a management timely assessment of the internal control and taking of corrective actions. Now, for external auditor, it's mandatory to express an opinion after 1 year, 12 months at least on the financial reports. But on the same hand, internal auditor is working on the test of controls and he is periodically checking the systems. So it should not be too late to identify something that should have identified in few days of happening the wrong things in the company. That's why continuous internal controls, evaluation, performances, monitoring. That's why companies making monthly accounts, they have budgeted figures, they have actual figures, so they are comparing. It's like a monitoring. Then the companies has the attendance policy when the guys are coming, leaving, and they are checking with their settled policies, and day-to-day basis they are monitoring. Same way, if some sale has been done, proper documentation is not maintained, then they catch on weekly basis or 2 weeks. So continuous, internal monitoring is going on in order to increase the reliability on the internal control systems. Then a sufficient understanding obtained by performing this assessment is very important. All findings must communicate any significant deficiencies and material weaknesses noted. If you have concerns about internal control systems, you cannot close your eyes. You have to speak up. This is your responsibility. And the auditor should obtain an understanding of the selection and application of accounting policies and consider whether they are appropriate. Every management, if you are in tax environment, they want to reduce their income, they want to increase their expenses, they want to save as much tax as they can. This is the built-in logic for the management. Unless those only few people who are integrated enough, they have values to pay the right tax to the governments. So it's a built-in businessman approach that they want to save the tax. So for that they play around with the accounting policies, estimations, judgments, provisions, liabilities, contingencies. That you have to C, the adequacy and appropriateness of the policies. Now let's discuss the relevant control only address objectives related to the preparation of fairly presented financial statement, including the materiality of the misstatements. Now, professional judgment is required for that one, which is, we know that as an auditor, we should have professional skepticism, we should use our judgments, because risk assessment or any other thing is a judgment issue. When I sit with you, I talk with you, I cross question, I have questionnaires, I have other ways to find the information from you. So it's all judgments. On that, I'm going to build my audit approach, audit philosophy, audit strategy. So professional judgment should be as accurate as it should be. Then significant risk, the auditor should evaluate the design of the related control and determine whether they have been implemented. And which will depend upon the control component, circumstances, how much is the materiality level, and what is the size of the entity.